I'm a responsible gun owner, father of 2, and I am definitely voting for Beto.
I own 5 guns. None of them shoot 500 yards or hold more than 6 bullets. But I came here from Dripping Springs. I drove. Sorry. I drove an hour to see you because I have 2 boys in high school. They're huge, athletic, muscular kids that play sports. They're very tough, but they can't stop a bullet. So I just came here father to father to say thank you very much.
I'm not scared of many things, but I am scared of my kids dying and it's a school shooting. I feel comfortable with them out in the world, except for when they go to school. And it makes 0 sense to me that we're afraid to say these weapons of war are not needed in society. Well, my mom is, I would say, is an old school Reagan, moderate Republican. She asked me when I first got here, are you surprised with the number of people that showed up? And I said, I'm surprised that you showed up.
My mom is right here. She's been a Republican most of her time, and she's going to vote for you.
I'm a responsible gun owner, father of 2, and I am definitely voting for Beto.
I am a veteran, I am a gun owner, and I appreciate Beto coming to our community. For me, being a veteran, the veteran issues are very important.
I am for the veteran.
And then being a parent, having a daughter in the middle school and also pre-K, of course, security for our kids. You know, who wants to get that phone call saying something went down at your school?
Like our veterans, we can all get behind our kids. Let's make sure that we place a premium on their lives.
Being in the military, we have what we call the arms room. Our weapons are locked, secure.
That's the tradition of responsible gun ownership. What we see happening in Texas today, that is not who we are.
You got to think about background check.
Universal background check to defend the Second Amendment while still protecting the lives of our kids in those classrooms.
If you know that somebody has an issue, mental issue and all that, it needs to be addressed.
A red flag law allows us to intervene through due process before it is too late.
Like I said, nobody wants to get that phone call. Nobody.
If we, as Republicans and Democrats, come together with
if he and others, whether they agree or not, can come together and make it best for my kids, I'm willing to listen even more for that.
We're for all of us, in other words. We want all of us to come together.
We're Texans. That's what we're going to do.
There are a few reasons why I think that this ad is powerful, but first and foremost, it pokes a hole in this idea that Beto is doomed in Texas because of his position on guns. In reality, his position on guns is a common sense position, and one shared by the majority of Texans, that politicians should be doing more to prevent mass shootings. I know Republicans love to rely on the same tired bromides about the Second Amendment, but even gun owners, especially gun owners, recognize the importance of ensuring that weapons aren't used to slaughter innocent children. And look, I get that guns are a politically divisive issue, and I get that Texas is a place that values Second Amendment rights, but let's also not be so reductive to think that those same Texans don't understand when there is a problem, and there is a problem. Even the toughest dudes in the state, even the most MAGA of Republicans have a line, and 100 times out of 100, they're going to put the lives of their children over unfettered access to guns. That's not a political issue, it is a human issue. It's a pure common sense issue. That's where Greg Abbott has lost the plot, because while Beto's been demanding common sense reforms like red flag laws and universal background checks, Abbott's been using his power to do absolutely nothing. In fact, according to a new poll from the Dallas Morning News, University of Texas at Tyler, a majority of Texans, 63%, almost 2/3 of those surveyed, either somewhat or strongly disagreed with this idea that elected officials are doing enough to prevent mass shootings. Only 30% of voters said elected officials are doing enough. And this has been a common, recurring theme in Texas. In fact, since Texas has been ground zero for shootings, Beto interrupted the perfunctory photo op of a press conference that Abbott decided to hold to give himself political cover after the Uvalde shooting.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sit down. You're out of line and an embarrassment. Hey. Sit down and don't play this stuff.
Next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, he needs to get his ass out of here. This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue. It's on assholes like you. Why don't you get out of here?
The fact is that in Texas, since Greg Abbott became governor, there have been mass shootings in Fort Hood, Dallas, Texas First Baptist Church, Santa Fe, El Paso, Midland, Odessa, and Uvalde. And of course, Abbott knows how poorly this reflects on him, which is why he had promised to act to curb gun violence. In 2019, when a shooter killed 23 and injured dozens more in an El Paso Walmart, Abbott swore to do, quote, everything we can to make sure a crime like this doesn't happen again. His lieutenant governor, Dan Patrick, said he was willing to take an arrow from the NRA in order to pursue stronger background checks laws. Cut to 3 years later, and you're not going to believe this, but Dan Patrick took no arrows from the NRA, passed no strong background checks laws, and Abbott didn't do much of anything to make sure that a crime like that didn't happen again, as we sit here now in the aftermath of the most recent school shooting, this time where 19 kids and 2 teachers were slaughtered in Uvalde. Now, I should note that while these Texas Republicans were making their grand promises to curb gun violence with legislation that never actually materialized, they did manage to pass a few pieces of legislation that actually expanded gun rights, like passing a permitless carry bill, allowing most Texans to carry handguns openly in public without any training or permits. It was already legal for long guns, like rifles and shotguns, meaning now effectively all guns would be covered by permitless carry. They passed a Second Amendment sanctuary state law to shield Texas from any federal gun control laws. And they passed a law that would eliminate the governor's power to ban gun sales during an emergency and make it legal for gun owners to bring weapons into their hotel rooms. In other words, these Republicans and Greg Abbott saw these shootings happening across the country and especially in their own state and decided what we need is more unfettered access to guns. We need fewer permits. We need fewer background checks. A shooter slaughtered 60 people in a Las Vegas hotel room? How about we make it legal to bring guns into hotel rooms? So when it seems like Abbott doesn't care, he is quite literally proving that to you. So if you're wondering why Texans are flipping from red to blue, it's because they recognize the abject danger posed by someone like Greg Abbott, someone who's used his position of power to attack the most vulnerable, also that he can feel powerful, so he can get his 5-minute cable hit on Fox. And meanwhile, it's Texans who are feeling the brunt of that abuse. They're the ones left freezing to death when the power grid goes out. They're the ones who've been stripped of their bodily autonomy with these abortion bans. They're the ones who've been put in immediate danger as members of the LGBT community. So if you don't live in Texas and you're looking to help, you can click the donation link right here on the screen to support Beto's campaign. And if you do live in Texas, if you have friends or family in Texas, you have the power to ensure that Greg Abbott's self-serving reign comes to an end, and to finally elect someone in Beto O'Rourke who cares about the people he's running to serve. Before you go, couple things. First, if you want to support my work, the best way is to subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. And second, if you want to see and hear more from me, check out my website, briantylercohen.com. That way you can get links to my podcast, merchandise, ways to donate to voting rights organizations, and so much more. The thumbnail is also right here on the screen, so go check it out. And as always, thank you so much for watching.